At our last guild meeting, I gave a demo of how to polish and sharpen some of the tools that we use very often, like these swivel knives. So I'm going to show you that. I'll make further comments as I go along and show the processes. This part is just going to be polishing the tools, not sharpening them, just polishing those surfaces to make them glide very easily and make the tools work at their best. So I've got a polishing compound here. You get them in various colors. This is the jeweler's rouge sold by Tandy. So what I do with that is to rub it down onto cardboard. And I find the cardboard that works the best for this is the back of cereal box. So I rub it onto that like this till it's well covered, and then swivel knife first. So I know all the books show that you should strop the swivel knife like this, but when I've done that, I don't know which part of this swivel knife I have actually polished. Did I do the shoulder, the whole surface, or just the very tip of it? So my preferred method, and this also doesn't leave cross cuts, cross marks, is to pull it on the cardboard now, like this, and you can see how the metal stays behind on the polishing compound, how it takes the metal off. But this way, those blades polish up well. And of course, you must remember to do both sides. Now, when you buy a new blade, this has to be done for 5-10 minutes to get the marks that the grinder leaves on that blade when they manufacture it, to get that smooth. So you really want to get the blade to be so smooth that you can see yourself in there to shave with it. And the main thing here is not to keep the blade straight and lift up. So put it down, pull it, and lift up. You do not want to turn the blade at any point, especially if you don't work on cardboard, but you work on leather. Then it's even more important. The other danger of pulling it this way is that a lot of people would turn it up when they reach the end, and that would give you a funky surface to cut with. This one seems to work the best. Okay, so this works regardless of what shape your swivel knife is in, whether it's a straight blade or whether it's an angled blade. You work it the same way. I just turn the other way and work the other side of the angled blade away from me so that it's easy to hold on to and easy to work with it that way and polish that way. So that's for swivel knife. The next tool, let's go for an edge beveler. Now there's two types of edge bevelers, for instance, that's sold by Tandy. This one is flat on the back, and this one has got a channel there that you put on the corner of the leather. So the flat back one, you also use the cardboard for, and you pull it back. And you make sure that the whole area touches the polishing compound. Not just here, you can see I only had those two tips that touched the polishing. In other words, they were polished, but not the actual cutting edge, which is the guy that sits there right in that cutting piece there. Okay, so pull that, make sure you polish the whole bottom of it, you pull back, and that should be most of what you need for these little flat edge bevelers. If you want to, you can put a little bit of jeweler's rouge on the edge of cardboard like that, and just pull that middle piece back a few times just to make sure there's no burrs that take it up. But what I want to show you specifically, when you do that, don't have this angle too high. Keep it as low as possible, like that, so that you don't make it blunt again. Okay, so that's with that beveler. When you use the other beveler, the keen edge beveler, which has got the groove in the back, then you work with a piece of leather. You put jeweler's rouge on the very edge, on the corner of that leather, like that, and then you take this guy, and instead of the cutting action, which would have been forward on this guy, you pull it back. You pull it back, and you'll see how even the polishing compound there bites off and polishes, so that the metal comes off right on the corner, right on that cutting edge. And the same thing applies here, that if you really want to make sure the other side has no burrs or anything on, put some polishing compound on the edge of the cardboard and just pull this guy back a few times slightly. And that's all that you need. And then you will have a totally nice, sharp edge beveler again. Okay, so those are the two edge bevelers. Then we get to a French edger. This guy, with which you can do 45-degree angles, you can thin out leather, etc. with this guy. To sharpen it, it's also got a flat back, so we do the exact same thing as we do for that first beveler, edge beveler. You pull back, making sure that you hit the actual cutting edge there with the polishing. Pulling back will polish up that edge. Then what I also, again, same with the bevelers, like to do is take a thicker piece of leather, just put some jeweler's rouge on the very edge of the leather, and pull this guy back a few times, making sure you hit all the corners of that cutting surface. And that's, I don't polish that overly much. on that side. It's just to make sure there's no burrs that would hinder you there. That would make it not so sharp. So that's the French edger. A few others. Let me start with a new piece of cardboard here that's got some tape on. Just a few other tools in the meantime. Also, here, stitching awl. Now, this stitching awl of mine, the tip is so sharp and polished that it glides through any leather. And I keep it like that just by now and again. I put my one finger on one of the four surfaces and just pull it back slightly. There we go. Then I turn it 90 degrees, get the next edge there, polish that, turn it 90 degrees for the next one, pull that, turn it 90 degrees, and pull that. And that has made, over time, this blade of mine so sharp that it will really slide through most pieces of leather like that seamlessly. So do that. Protect your blades, especially these blades, really well. I've also found that a normal scratch awl might sometimes lead you astray. You might be marking your leather with a scratch awl, and suddenly it moves sideways. And that is usually when that tip is not totally round. So I make sure I also work the tip of a scratch awl all round. I turn it as I pull it so that it can be totally straight and don't have any burrs on the tip that pushes you in a certain direction. A tool that I use very often is a break-off blade, craft knife. They are super nice to use because you can hold them like a pencil, and you've got a lot of control over them. So, and I increase their shelf life or their work life also with polishing them. So I'll push it out a few ways, and then same thing. There's polishing compound on the cardboard, and I polish them a few times this way and a few times that way. And the lifespan of that blade is extended quite a bit. And also, in my imagination, I believe that the knife cuts much better that way. The other knife that you can also polish with great success is the round knife. Now, there, the same as sharpening it, you want to keep the blade from cutting into the cardboard. So you always make sure that the surface slips away. Let me do this on a flat surface. You always make sure the surface of the cutting edge rather is not pointing towards the cardboard as you polish it. And you polish every part of that. the top, the sides, both sides also of the knife. Because remember, you cut with these most primarily, but you skive with all of those parts, so you want them nicely, smoothly polished as well. And in the tools book that Tandy sells, old Stallman had advice for all of these tools, how to sharpen them, showed you as well as a knife reference work, so you can look at that as well. I hope this was helpful, and you'll see that a nice sharp tool does so much more. How do you know a knife is sharp? Well, one thing that you should take note of, if a knife is sharp, you won't hear it cut at all. If it is not sharp, it's going to talk loudly while you cut. Okay, I hope you take care with the tools, and I hope that makes your leatherwork more enjoyable. Thank you.